Okay, let me just cover up my background here. I didn't realize I had so much going on. Okay, all right. So welcome and good to see you. And we're gonna get started today. My name's Christina, and if you're a nurse or a caregiver who has ever thought about writing a book but haven't started yet, this is for you because I used to think the same thing. I used to think maybe someday, maybe I'll do a book one day. I didn't do a book until after I became a nurse. I had always wanted to write a book, but never attempted it. Never thought it was possible. It was just something in the back of my mind. I used to love to read books when I was a kid. I worked in a library as my first job, and I got a love for books from the library, from my childhood, reading novels, fiction, but never thought I'm going to write a book one day. I thought you had to be older. I thought you had to be famous. I thought you had to have like, a fan club. I didn't think I would write a book until one day I did. And that's what I want to talk about today because I used to think the same thing. Maybe one day, but one day is not good enough. And what I didn't realize is that I already had a book inside of me. I just couldn't see it. And I believe the same for you. You have a book inside of you, but you just don't see it yet. And working in acute nursing, you see so much in such a short amount of time. You see people at their most vulnerable. You see life change in a single shift. And then you go home and you just move on to the next day. But at the same point, you realize these moments are not just random, they are moments of meaning, and they mean something. They're not just random experiences. The 90 something with anemia, the 70 something with a heart condition, the hospice patient with family all around, the cancer patient contemplating their next steps, or the complications of cancer in the body, the bleeding, the pain, the shifting of fluids, the family that comes to visit with their flowers and cake and cookies, the families who are appreciative of the staff and they give bagels and donuts for staff on a Saturday morning. You see a lot on a normal shift. And I've seen a lot in my life. Looking back, I've realized that there are 5 things that nursing taught me that I didn't even realize were shaping my book. Number one, the first thing is life can change in one moment. You walk into a shift thinking everything is normal, and then everything shifts. That alone is a story. And that's perspective. That's something people need to hear. You go through so much. You give meds. You change patients' wound dressings. You document urine and output. You document appetite and meals percentages. You're hanging IV antibiotics. You're trying to be on time. You're being timely with your insulin for your meals for your 4 to 6 patients. A lot happens in a day. It could start off very calm and quiet. You could just be doing your vital signs, your education, and your care plans. You could be doing your vital signs from one to the next, and you're just going in your flow with your meals and setting your patients up for their meals, telling your staff what they need to do for this particular patient. You're writing your name on the whiteboard. You're checking your IV pumps and your IV fluids. You're checking your patient's IV site if it's patent, if it's intact, if it's still there in the arm. You're making sure that the bedside is clear of clutter and fall risks. You're making sure the bed alarms are on, and you're making sure that the beds are in their lowest positions, and you're making sure your call bells are in reach. You're doing a lot throughout the day, and then something changes, something suddenly goes wrong, and then you have to call a rapid response or a code blue or a stroke response, and all things can change in an instant. And it's very, 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 very unstable sometimes. A day in the hospital it changes, it varies all the time. You always see nurses that talk about the different hardships of being a nurse, and it's not an easy job. And the second thing about what I learned in nursing is that you can't save everyone. And that's a hard truth. But it changes how you see life, responsibility, and even yourself. You can't save everyone. But you can control how you control your emotions and yourself. And you can control how you walk through the things that you cannot change. I love the Serenity's prayer to give me the wisdom to know the things I can change and to know the things I cannot change, and the wisdom to know the difference and to change what I can change. I love that prayer because it reminds us that we don't have control over everything and we cannot help everyone, and you cannot make everyone happy because that would be a codependent relationship, that would be enmeshment, and that will be walking on eggshells. You can't help everyone and you can't please everyone. I remember sometimes in nursing, you have patients who are just irate. They are angry because they want to eat food, or they want more quiet and they're not getting it, or they're just angry about their life situation, and you can't help them. Sometimes you just have to understand that they're angry and let them be angry, or talk to them and listen to them and let them vent to you. But you can't save everyone, you can't help everyone. And the third thing is, people will show you who they are in crisis, such as the friends and the family that come to visit. And seeing those family and friends, it brings so much joy to a person to know that they are thought about, even in the hospital. And some people don't want to be thought about in the hospital and they don't want visitors, and that's okay. But it's appreciative when there are people who do care and they want to support you, send you flowers, send you a meal, and buy you something, to deliver to you in your room, which is very nice. And it's those moments that are real and raw and honest, and they make for powerful stories. And the fourth point that I learned from working in nursing is boundaries are necessary. At first, you want to help everyone and do everything, and it's not possible. But you realize you can't pour from an empty cup. You can't give what you don't have. And so, as nurses, we have to continually feed ourselves, take care of ourselves, give ourselves breaks, and have the boundaries to not try to be superwoman all the time, superman all the time, but learning to step back and know that we have to take care of ourselves. Health is wealth, and you can't do everything. And I had to learn that for myself because I tried to be kind to everyone, do everything for everyone, but then I was burning myself out and I had to step back. And I thought that some people were being mean when they would say, "No, I can't do that for you right now," or "That's not my job," or something like that. I mean, you don't want to say that's not my job, but you can find someone else to delegate something that you cannot do at the moment to someone else who can, such as your other staff. There's other people that can handle it, that might have the time or the resources to do something. And if you can't do it, you delegate it. And so you have to realize that you have resources at your disposal for your help, to create boundaries to take care of yourself. And the next thing I learned in nursing is that these experiences that you deal with in healthcare, they stay with you. They stay with you because these are people's lives that you are dealing with. These are real people's lives. These are real people who are going through their very vulnerable moments. And I, per se, have also experienced my own vulnerable moments in healthcare. And so I understand that feeling of being in the hospital alone. And I personally was not in the hospital, but I had a family member die. And in grief, it was helpful to have people who were there to support me, my church body, my school supported me and just sending me cards to send their condolences at the time. And when you lose a family member, it really helps to have the support, because these experiences of loss, especially in a hospital, they do stay with you. And even when you're working in a hospital and you're with people that have all kinds of situations, it could stay with you, because even clinicians are been known to have residual trauma from their patients. And so even as nurses could have residual trauma from watching day in and day out the lives of other people's life be changed and torn apart, and just have trauma going on with them. And so you have to take care of yourself and take care of your patients, but these experiences, they will stay with you. And when you leave the shift, they don't leave, because the body does keep the score. And that's usually a sign that you need to process the emotions. And there's something about exploring what you're feeling that helps you to process the emotions. And I'm grateful that I had journaling for myself when I was in mourning and loss of a family member, that helped me to process my emotions. And I'm grateful for family and a church body to help, and when I was mourning. And so I just wanted to say that. And so at some point, I had to ask myself, what if these are not just memories? What if this is actually a story? And I realized most nurses and caregivers, they don't need writing tips. They just need to look at what's right there in front of them, their life experiences. They just need to see what's in front of them. And you have a life story, you have life experiences, and you have insights that you gained from watching patients, watching your shifts and things that change in your shift. And all of that helps you to become a more well rounded and deep person that could express deeper truths in a book that could serve someone. And that's why I created my VIP day, because I believe nurses have stories to tell. And I know that what it feels like to have all of that in your head. And I know how you just need to turn it into a structured process, and just turn it into something that you can deliver and package for other people to understand and read. And so in the VIP session, we take you through your experiences, your ideas, and your thoughts, and we map out your actual book, your message, and your core outline and your direction. The direction is actually your angle for your book. What is it that you really want to tell the world and that you don't want to be forgotten? And so, if you've been thinking about writing a book, but you've been overthinking it, putting it off, like I did, I put off writing a book until eventually, after my family member passed away, I realized I needed to write my book, and it didn't need to wait any longer. And I had more insight than I thought I did. I thought that I couldn't write a book, but I realized all these years I had content that I was already writing, and all I had to do was put it together. And when my family member was passed away and I had a loss in my family, I realized I do have something, and it's not too late to do it, because I was still young and I could still write a book. And it's okay, whatever age you are, to write a book. And whatever life experience you have is good enough to write a book. And I had just enough experience to write a book, and I published it. And I felt so good to be fulfilled and to finish a childhood dream that I had, a childhood desire to write a book. And so if you've been thinking about writing a book and you've overthought it, put it off, and this is your sign now to take it seriously. And so I'm leaving a link for you to get my VIP day. And if that's something that's been on your heart, don't ignore it. Your story is already there, just like it was for me, and you just need help to bring it together. And the last thing I want to say is just take a step of faith, take a step in the right direction, put your faith into action, and see what God can do with your story, just like He did for me.